Hi. It's been a while since I last filmed anything, but I'm really grateful for those of you who are sticking around, even though it's been, I guess, 6 months since my last video. Yet, I still want to proceed with my YouTube videos, and that's why I'm here. So, for today's topic, I was going to talk a little bit about accents. It is something that I was concerned for a while, and it's also something that I got comments under my videos about. And, well, you can notice that English is not my first language, and that's why the topic of accent is very sensitive in a way. However, I do feel like I'm qualified enough to talk about this. Oh, by the way, accent. When I was at school, I genuinely thought that accent was bad. Like, the accent in general was bad. And at that time, I really confused the word accent with the word pronunciation, because the meaning of these two is quite different, even though some people, they do still confuse them. Just to be clear, pronunciation is how you pronounce words so that other people can understand you. Accent is how you pronounce words based on your background, on your mother tongue, on the languages that you were exposed to, on the people who surrounded you all this time. And this has very little to do with the pronunciation itself. So the whole thing with the pronunciation is that other people need to understand you, and you need to be understood by other people. And that's it. Accent, though, is a very different thing. Sometimes accent can be that heavy so that it affects pronunciation badly and other people cannot understand you because of the accent. And that is, I guess, the only matter when you need to work on your accent/pronunciation, even if you don't want to. In other cases, my hot take is that you only need to work on your accent if you have a distinct goal why you need to do that. So, back to the accent. Accent is what represents you. Accent is everything in your history, in your background. And by the way, even though some people can be from the same region or from the same country and they can speak the same language as their mother tongue, they still can have different accents. So, for example, my mother tongue is Russian, and my Russian accent is a bit different from those of other people who also grew up in Russia, who was speaking Russian from the very beginning, from their childhood. And funny thing is that even if you're a native English speaker, you also have accent. That's because accent is not only built on your mother tongue. Accent is built upon everything that surrounded you throughout your whole life.
I don't even like it when I see him on TV. I turn it off.
This morning. Oh, good, you wouldn't belong getting frostbite.
So while I was at school, I thought that accent was bad in general, and that's why I was trying to get rid of it by watching more content in English. But later on, I just became more and more confused. While I was in university, I realized, well, maybe I should learn a certain type of accent, for example, RP, which is received pronunciation, like to speak like the royal British family. Well, the intention was good, but I don't think that was reasonable, because you spend so much time learning English, and learning the accent won't take, any less, because you'll have to adapt to a different way of perceiving sound and kind of have to learn to use your mouth to speak once again from scratch. Received pronunciation is a good idea, but if you don't have any particular goal, why bother? And right now, I guess my attitude towards accent has shifted a bit, just because I realized that accent is what makes you very unique. And in the world where AI dubbing and AI voiceover is taking over the content, having something unique means that you stand out. Well, that's basic. Of course, you won't take over the world just because you have a nice way of pronouncing words, even though sometimes I really do follow certain people just because I like how they sound. And yeah, I get carried away, but I really like how some people sound. However, I understand that for me or for some people, having a neutral accent would be better for a number of reasons. And here they are. Well, first of all, it's when you are doing dubbing or voiceover work. I'm a voiceover artist, by the way, even though it's a part-time job of mine. Having the neutral accent would give me more opportunities than having my own unique, peculiar, everything accent. Just because for educational tutorials and for narrating something or for acting, even for acting, you'll probably need a more neutral type of English. And I really understand that sometimes I just narrow down the opportunities for work to my own native language, because only in my native language do I have neutral accent. Another case in which I still feel like learning an accent is reasonable is when you are genuinely curious and you have enough time to do it. It is a very unique situation, I guess, because you need to have a lot of spare time to consistently dedicate to learning an accent, and you also have to probably spend some money in order to go to the country or in order to hire a tutor to properly introduce you to the neutral accent in a certain language. However, if you're genuinely curious, I'm not the person to stop you, okay? If you want something, you do you. While thinking this through, I realized there was at least one more case in which learning an accent is probably a good option and a good thing to pursue. It is when you've already lived in a certain environment for a while, but you still haven't acquired the accent and you feel like your personality lacks it. You already blended well with the local society. However, accent is like the only thing that makes other people perceive you as a foreigner. In that case, I guess it is reasonable to hire a tutor and to work on your accent if it didn't come naturally. It really happens to some people because we're just not built the same, and for some people learning a language is more difficult than for the others. Right now, having an accent is not a thing that I'd like to get rid of. It's probably the thing that makes me who I am, which is lame, but well, sorry. I guess you know what I mean. By the way, what's your take on accent? Do you feel like it is something that you or other people need to get rid of in the first place? Or do you feel like it's something people should take pride in? I'm not sure. I still have to wrap my head around this. It's a concept that I've been thinking a lot about, but I still have to explore this topic deeper. Anyway, I really appreciated that you watched this video till the end. And I'll probably see you in my next videos. I won't promise anything on the regularity, however, I do hope that it is going to be sooner than in 6 months. Sorry again.